Γεια σας από την Ελλάδα. Hello from Greece. This is Eclectic Spacewalk Conversations. I'm your host, Nicholas McKay, and I'm joined today by Yorgos Krassakopoulos, head of programming of the Thessaloniki International Film Festival. Welcome to Conversations, Yorgos.
Excellent work pronouncing that difficult name. Thank you. It's nice to be here.
Yeah, so Yorgos, where were you born?
Well, I was born in the southern part of Greece, in Peloponnese, actually a small village where I lived until I was 16. And then I moved to Athens. I studied there, not cinema, economics.
Oh.
But while I was in the university, I was already started writing for this movie magazine. It was called Cinema Magazine, and it was literally the only movie magazine available in Greece. At that time, we were talking about 1989, something like that.
Yeah.
And a few years after that, through the magazine, we founded the Athens International Film Festival. And well, it's history, after all. I mean, it's been many years that I've been doing this. I haven't practically done any other kind of job apart from film, and I should consider myself lucky in that aspect.
Well, so was that different from what you wanted to be when you grew up? Because you said economics and stuff.
But you know, the education system in Greece works differently than what it does in the States. So you don't get to actually pick what you get to study, but you take exams, and according to the grades that you get, and well, there wasn't a film school back in the days, a state film school or a university school. So I had to study something, and I thought, well, why not? I should try that. And but it's never what I wanted to do. It's just that when you grew up back in that day in Greece, you had to go to the university. It was the thing that you should do. And well, I did it, but it was very lucky that I knew my calling, but I found a way to do that and to eventually make a living out of it.
Yeah, the road less traveled.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So who were your biggest influences, and then maybe who are your biggest influences now in terms of thinking or thought or anything like that?
Well, I've been a bookworm since I was a kid. I've been reading books, and I was watching films from a very young age. Actually, it was my older sister that turned me on into the more serious films. But there was this late night show on Greek television that it would program weird art house, European or American or foreign in general films. And there was this guy, he was a film critic, and he still is alive. He's not working anymore, but he's still active. And he would present the film at the beginning. He would speak on a very low and deep and slow voice. Yeah. And he would say a few things about the film that you were about to see. And the films would be, you know, from Bergman to Pasolini to Fellini to stuff like that. I was, I don't know, 12, 13, 14 years old at that time.
So he was like a Greek Roger Ebert
yes,
kind of at that time?
In a way. But we imagine him with a big moustache and thick glasses. But he was a fantastic, he had a fantastically eclectic taste in film. And he had a way to persuade you to watch stuff. And I mean, I remember the first time I saw a Pasolini film in a much younger age than I should have probably, but it made such a huge impression on me, and I knew that there's more to cinema than, you know, going out and having popcorn and watching something.
Yes, traditional.
Yeah. So I realized there's something there, and well, I think that, you know, I delved right into. Of course, I was watching Disney cartoons and stuff like that.
Of course,
but from a pretty young age, I realized that there are more to cinema than just entertainment. So I don't know. In terms of filmmakers, there are so many to name, and also the same thing goes for books, I would say, and music. But you know.
But that's changed to now, though, right?
Yeah.
Like that. So that was a film critic now, and so who is it now that's like your biggest influence?
Well,
is it your peers, the people that you deal with? All
yes,
the time?
I mean, it depends on how you. I mean, I always like to be surprised and to be to discover things that will amaze me in a way, or if not if we not go that far, to be amazed, to make me, change my position on little things even. And I like films that they will, I will start watching them and I will be this person, and when I finish watching a film, even at the tiniest molecule, something will have changed. And this is the kind of films that we like to program here in Thessaloniki. Films that they don't leave you indifferent, that they they have an effect on you.
Well, that's art, right? That nexus of kind of the possibility but reality, and that kind of...
But at the same time, they don't have to be boring, or they don't have to be
of course not.
arty, they don't have to be, too self-indulgent. We want, a festival is its audience as well. It's the filmmakers that come here, that they present their films, but it's also the audience that gets to watch the films, and they need to enjoy it. Or if they don't enjoy it, because we have some films like that, and we know we have, they should, have some talking points get out of them. They should have a conversation with them, or with the people that are watching them with, because we do program some experimental films, or some films that we know that will be they will divide the audience, but still it's part of this process. For instance, we have a tribute to Albert Serra this year, the Spanish director, Catalan director, and his latest film is called Liberté, and we knew that it has a lot of sex scenes in it, and it's shot in a forest during the night.
So already different.
And we knew that a lot of people, it's not going to be their cup of tea, absolutely, and he knew it too. And of course, until the end of the film, almost half of the theater had walked out, or I don't know, a third of the theater maybe. But with films like that there will be people that they will say, oh, this is a masterpiece, and people that will think, oh, this is horrible, why did you program that?
Sure.
But if you get these people to indulge in a conversation and among them and between you and you, I like to have this conversation. I was outside when the film started playing, and like 10 minutes after it started, a woman came out and said, oh my God, you said that this is one of his best films? I said, yes. I wonder what his worst films look like. So, and then we had a conversation for some time. And this is what makes it interesting. Right. And I don't know, this is what festivals should be all about.
Right, and so we'll get into Thessaloniki, but first, you basically became that film. So you're an editor-in-chief and founder of Flix, which is a website that is, quote, your daily dose of what's best in Greek and world cinema. So what is a great film? I know you just kind of mentioned a little bit of that, but what makes a great film?
It has to be enjoyable, of course. It has to be something that you want to watch, but it also is something that will make you think or feel something extra. It has, it doesn't have to be perfect in, how it is constructed or in terms of the technical aspect, but it has to have something that it will move you in one way or another. And I don't just mean it in a sentimental way, but you'll take something out of it. Something will make you a better or different person. It will affect you in a way.
Even one molecule, as
exactly, as I said earlier. But that goes for, from a film like Joker, for instance, to Liberté that I mentioned earlier. So it's a huge spectrum.
Sure, but is that different in different parts of the world, or is that kind of a universal type of thing with cinema in general?
Well, I think that good
different tastes, maybe in different regions.
Taste plays a big part, but I believe that good cinema, it goes beyond, language. It goes beyond cultural differences. If a film is good, it will work more or less the same for someone in the States and someone in Greece, someone in Asia, or but it has to work in a deeper level,
not subsurface, but deeper. Yeah.
That's my opinion, at least.
Okay. So then, you basically channeled that guy that you were talking about that was an influence, and so you became kind of a film critic. So what are 3 films that, and sorry to put you on the spot, but what are kind of like 3 films that you would recommend to anyone that's just interested in cinema in general? Wow. Are there 3 that just come to mind? Maybe the first 3 that come to mind?
I don't know. One of the films that had a great impact on me when I was already had started working in cinema, and it was in criticism, and it was Fight Club by David Fincher.
Of course.
I mean,
Chuck Palahniuk's book.
Yeah,
Yes.
exactly. I still remember watching that film and coming out of the press screening and thinking, wow, what is that I just saw? And yeah, I mean, I haven't seen it since, I think, and it might have dated a bit. Well, I've seen it years back, though, again.
Yeah.
It might have been dated a bit now, but still, I think even if a 25-year-old person sees it today, as I was when I watched it, it will still have a very strong effect on him. Apart from that, I really can't say just three. I mean, I don't know.
Of course.
Yeah,
there
from
could be
David Lynch's Blue Velvet, for instance, which is, and I know I'm only talking about American films now, but Pasolini's Theorem was a film that it really had a big effect on me as well. And I don't know, from Greek films, well, there are so many, but there is this guy, his name is Nikos Koundoros, and actually we have an exhibition of his. He started out as not as a filmmaker, but as a painter, an artist at the beginning, and he's dead now, but he has made some of the greatest Greek films, I think, ever. And one of his films, called The Ogre of Athens.
Okay.
That's one of the films that
just one.
Exactly.
So, being a film critic, that's got to be decently difficult if you enjoy film as well. So how do you kind of disconnect that personal wanting to see just a film and then also being a critic?
Yeah, it's very hard to explain it, but there is a way that it works, and actually I stole it from someone else who was asked the same question. And in a way, it's like seeing the same film but at that moment, you know, splitting yourself in two. And so at one level, there is the guy who enjoys the film and watches it with the eyes, and deeper in, it's the other guy who kind of dissects it and thinks about it in a different level. Having said that, though, I have to say that I don't just watch films for work. I also watch films for pleasure, and there are times that I just want to see something to put my mind, in a slower speed and just enjoy that. And well, this is one of my biggest problems when we are preparing the festival, and that's from spring to late summer. I'm watching all the films that we have to program here on, and I'm not watching anything else. So it's basically, 4 or 5 films a day that are films that we want to program.
Right.
And, there come times when I think, now I would like to watch something that I don't have to watch it and to think about it, analyze it, or to, to judge it in a way. It's not the right word. But something that will, I can just watch it on the couch and have fun with it.
Well, but is that you going to maybe a cinema and doing the popcorn, the traditional,
Yes, I do that.
or is it Netflix, Amazon Prime, and all the streaming services now?
I do both. I do both. And I have to say that, I consider myself very lucky in that aspect, that I still haven't lost my appetite for watching movies.
Oh, okay.
And that goes for both, mainstream, but also the films that we program here. I mean, when I know that a director that I admire has a new film and it's going to be in Cannes or wherever, if we get a screener to watch it here, the anticipation and the thrill is still there every time, which is,
Well, then it looks like you got into the right kind of work.
Oh,
then.
yeah, absolutely.
You're fine.
Oh, no, I know that for sure. Yeah, I am fine. And I think that if I lost that would be a problem, but...
Agreed.
Yeah.
I mean,
Till
and a lot
now,
of So you being the film festival's head of programming, I mean, is that the best aspect, but also the worst aspect of being the kind of head of programming? Like, what is the kind of entail of the job?
Yeah.
I know you said 5 films a day, kind of watching, but
it does that.
That's a lot.
Yeah, that's a lot, but it's what I really like to do, and that's my favorite part. I mean, together with Orestis Andreadakis, who is our artistic director, when we set out to think of what next year's edition should include, and we set out some guidelines, and we think about directors that we might want to have tributes to and stuff like that. This is like my favorite part of the job. And then watching films, of course, and choosing what to program is also great. What is bad is that, you know, a festival has a limited number of slots.
Yep.
So you can have everything that you want. Sometimes you can have things that you want because they will come out in theaters in Greece before the festival, or something else happens and you can't have the film. But you know, it's all in the game.
You find that equilibrium in there.
Yeah. And I don't think there is a bad aspect in it. I mean, I think,
good.
I feel like I'm extremely lucky to have
Dream
this.
job.
Yeah, for me, absolutely.
Yeah, good. So every year there's a different theme, and then this year is the overview effect. So that's the cognitive shift that happens when astronauts see the Earth from space. So why was that this year's theme?
Actually, this is mostly Orestis' baby, because he had this idea when he came up to take the job of the artistic director, that our international competition section should be programmed in with a theme in mind. So this year, yes, it's the overview effect, and actually when he told me for the first time his idea, I thought that it would make to a great selection of films. It will guide us to pick films that they will be really current and poignant. So how it works is that we talk about this, we read about what the overview effect is, and it's, as you said, it's a cognitive shift in the astronauts' brain and heart when they see the world from above. And what they realize is that there is really what we consider vital and very important when you're down on the surface of the planet, like, I don't know, from race to religion to ethnicity to color to ideologies even, to borders. They really don't have any, they don't mean anything when you see the world as a whole, the Earth as a whole. So this year we looked for films that they go down to the core of human existence, what it means to be human, and to, you know, it's to see how what separates us is not as important as the things that unite us or bring us together. That's the. But you know, it's not like we have a ruler and we judge every film that it fits exactly in that
spectrum.
But But it's sometimes this idea would be subtly featured in the films, and in others it will be more easy to spot. But if you see the program as a whole, it touches upon subjects like the ones we just mentioned.
Oh, and I think that kind of has radiated even just with the directors we've talked about. I mean, when you look at the 14 films that are part of the international competition, I mean, you have someone like in Wet Season from Singapore, to then Lillian, who I thought was maybe the most eclectic thing, is that you have the protagonist is a Russian woman in the United States, but then it's an Austrian film crew, but then the actress is Polish and she's not an actress. I was like, I don't know what else of humanity that you can,
There you go. You see,
exactly.
I mean, really, what borders mean? I mean, what does a film's ethnicities? This is like, as you said, it's a very good example of how you can create art with so many different elements and so many different things and still have something that is concrete and wonderful.
Oh, totally. And then, so what are some of those parallels though with international film or cinema in general? Because it seems like, it's kind of like when you go to a cinema, it's kind of everyone's on the same playing field. Our deepest or our most baseline humanity. We're just there to see some art, and then that's it. So do you have any parallels, maybe overview effect in international film in general or cinema?
Well, what we try to do actually every year with the festival and all its section is to somehow step up back and look at the world of cinema and bring it here in Thessaloniki. So we tend to program films from all over the world. We are actively looking for films from everywhere, from countries that you wouldn't normally, they don't have such a big filmic production. But we want them to bring as many different and varied voices as possible to the city. And it's to me is great, and it makes my job worthwhile. The fact that we can program something really obscure, something from, I don't know, from Bhutan or wherever, and it will play in a theater in the city on the afternoon of Tuesday, and there will be the room will be full. There will be 250 people there to watch it. And that makes all the difference. And yes, it's, as I said, it's our way to bring the world to Thessaloniki.
That's great.
And literally, not just through films, but also filmmakers and also people from the market, the industry, because apart from films, we have a strong Agora section, which is aimed to producers and salespeople and directors who are working on their next projects. So yeah.
It seems, and then you've been here for quite some time. So how, when we were talking with someone yesterday, they had said, I think they mentioned, one of the directors, that 10% of Thessaloniki kind of comes out for the festival, and that's a pretty big proportion. So is Thessaloniki, how has that changed? Has it all changed because of the International Film Festival and people got in? Because you've been here for many, many years.
I've been here for quite, with different capacities, either as programmer or doing other things for the festival. But yes, I mean, this is our 60th year, and the festival started out as a Greek film festival, so it only screened Greek films, and that changed in '92 when it became international. So at the beginning it was mostly a celebration of the local industry. Back in the 60s and 70s there was an industry, so there was like a studio system, there were stars and all that. But then it changed drastically, and a new kind of filmmaking came up, more auteur-driven, let's say. And when the festival became international, it really, I think that it found its real reason of existence. And yes, the city was, the people of the city were very eager to embrace it. And I remember, back in the days when the internet was practically non-existent, that, people would flock to see the weirdest midnight screening or whatnot. And that was fantastic. And Thessaloniki is a city of 1 million people, but it has a big university campus. So a lot of young people are coming out for the screenings.
Seen so many people from all ages, but mostly in that kind of cohort of younger people.
And of course, it's not just them, because I know many people who, they will take a leave from their work or their studies, and they will come up to Thessaloniki for these 10 days, because it's not just the films.
Of course
it's the whole atmosphere, the whole thing that surrounds them. The exhibitions, the parties, the meetings, you get to find your friends, that you see, your festival friends in a way, people that you meet here every year.
That's so great, and I mean, and we've felt so welcomed, in this entire thing. So, one last, so you mentioned on your Instagram profile, it says, quote, "sway through the crowd to an empty space." So. And then also, can you expand on that and maybe more about how social media and the internet has changed? Because again, those younger people are snapping, they're Instagramming, kind of these things, and now there's more reach for those Bhutan films, those avant-garde films, those kinds of things.
Well, that quote is from David Bowie's "Let's Dance," actually.
Okay, good point.
And I tend to change. Well, I hear a song and then I listen to a lyric and it does something to me, and I change it from time to time and I put it there. I haven't changed that in quite some time now. But yeah, social media. Well, it's a double-edged sword, I have to say.
Yeah. Because it can silo you, or it can expand your kind of consciousness.
And it can also, I mean, I'm not on Facebook. I withdrew from that. I was there for a few years, but then
in good company.
Yeah. But then I realized that it really makes no sense. I mean, and you get these ideas that it's good for work, and I can, what's the word? I can
be more productive or something.
Yeah. But it really, I don't see the point of it.
Yeah.
Instagram for me, because I take photos and I like to take photos, is a good option to put them out there.
Yeah, so a good happy medium. Okay.
But social media is important, and the festival has is very active on social media, because it reaches out to many people.
I mean, that's how I found out about it.
Exactly.
I literally, in Los Angeles, I see a Twitter post, and then I'm like, wait, overview effect, film festival, Greece.
Yeah.
I've never been to Greece, and then I get press passes, and all of a sudden we're here.
There.
Here we
see?
go, Yorgos.
Yeah. So you can't do without them. And there can be a great tool in creating awareness and bringing out the festival in this part of the world to people in the States. So you can't live without them. The thing is that you should try and find a way to use them in the right way, that they don't take over your life and your personality. You don't just have another self for social media.
Second life. Yeah.
So if you manage that, everything's okay.
That's good. So last question, and we'll keep it quick. So maybe 60 seconds or so. But so we talked about the overview effect when you look down. Mm-hmm. So what if you were up there looking down and then the Earth was looking at you? What would you say? I know that's a big kind of question, but like, what is something that you've maybe wanted to say or needed people to hear? Or it could be something to do with a film festival. It could be something to do with cinema.
Yeah.
Or even moral, I don't know, but like, what is something that comes to mind when say 7 billion people are looking up at you? What comes to mind? What would you say?
Yeah, I think I will draw a blank, most probably. But yeah, I don't know.
So given it 5-10 minutes to think about it, then what would you think about?
Yeah, I think the most important thing to is, one of the biggest qualities I appreciate in people is their ability to listen to someone else. Not just waiting for their turn to speak, but to actually listen and, maybe take a moment to think about what the other person says. And I think it would be a much better world if everybody was doing that, even, trying to do that. You can't succeed always, but, try to put yourself in someone else's shoes. Totally. And if you can do that or even try to do that, we'll be fine, I think.
Yeah, I mean, again, like you said, try.
Yeah.
That's half the problem right there. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay. Well, cool. Well, that's going to be all the time we have today. So thanks for coming on Conversations, Yorgos. And until next time, ad astra.
It was a pleasure.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.